welcome to the North Hills Middle School Auditorium for this evening's music department performance. In the unlikely case of an emergency, please take a moment to locate the illuminated exit signs located throughout the auditorium. At North Hills, we ask our students and faculty to expect respect. With that in mind, we work hard to instill values of personal pride and respect for those performing in our musical ensembles. We are also teaching our students proper concert etiquette as part of our music curriculum. We ask that we all respect both performers and audience members alike by following a few simple rules of respect and concert etiquette. Show your enthusiasm through applause at appropriate times. It is considered disrespectful in a concert setting to shout out names or noises. Avoid extra noises, such as unwrapping candy, talking, or cell phones ringing. Put cell phones away. The lights and sounds are distracting to everyone. Be a proud North Hills concert goer by being courteous and wearing the uniform properly. Stay until the end of the concert. Everyone deserves a complete audience. On behalf of the North Hills School District Administration and the music faculty, enjoy the performance.
Good evening, everyone. We are so glad that you're here with us. If you are able, could you please stand for the national anthem?
Well, again, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Mr. Lucas Beaver. On behalf of myself and Mr. Tom Hartwell, we are thrilled to showcase our middle school bands tonight. So if you were joined us for our Band-O-Rama concert in December, that featured our 7th and 8th grade bands along with some of the high school groups. This is our first concert of the year where it's exclusively our middle school groups, joined by a couple additional groups that you wouldn't have seen at that other concert. So tonight you'll get to hear from our middle school jazz band, our 7th grade band, our combined 6th and 7th grade beginning band. New this year, our middle school percussion ensemble, our 8th grade wind ensemble, and our combined 8th grade band. So a great showcase of all of the hard work and talent of our middle school band students. So behind me in the ground of the auditorium here is our middle school jazz band. This is actually our first performance here at North Hills Middle School. In November, we performed at the high school jazz night with the high school jazz band. We performed in February at the annual Mardi Gras celebration, and just a few weeks ago we performed at the Allegheny Valley Invitational, Jazz Middle School Invitational at Carson Middle School. So we are excited for our last performance of the year, but our first for our home audience here at North Hills Middle School. So we have 4 pieces for you. Our first one is Rock Around the Clock, and it'll feature a wide range of soloists, starting with Almonte on clarinet, Trevor and Dakota on trombone, Mateo on guitar, and Molly on saxophone. So we hope you enjoy.
Our next piece is a standard John Coltrane tune called Blue Train. It is our solo section, and this is going to be powered by Girl Power. We've got Alyssa on the clarinet, Violet on the euphonium, and Morgan on the flutes. Our next piece, Green Onions, was created by accident. A group of musicians were brought into a studio to record another type of piece of music. They started improvising, and before you knew it, we had what we now call Green Onions.
Thank you very much. And we are so proud of this group. In case you didn't know, this group is comprised of students in grades 6, 7, and 8. It's completely extracurricular. So all these students gave up a lot of their mornings all throughout this school year to come together and rehearse. Very early, 7 a.m. to 7:30 each Thursday morning. So we put all that together outside of school, and we are really proud of them. We're going to miss this group going forward. So we have one more tune. It's called Fiesta Latina. It will feature tenor saxophone soloist Anthony and Jameson. So we hope you enjoy. And then we'll follow with our 7th grade band. Thank you very much. There'll be a moment of transition and we'll be back with our 7th grade band. mentioned, this is our 7th grade band behind me on the stage. One thing I'd like to point out, you'll notice throughout your program different highlights of our band program and different accomplishments and things to look forward to in the coming years. As the students progress through the grades, as they go through 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, they start to do more. And in 6th grade, the students went on their band tour last spring. In 7th grade, we're getting ready to perform the national anthem at a Pittsburgh Pirates game in a few weeks. That's why another reason why we perform the national anthem to start our concert tonight, because we're getting ready for that. Our 8th graders will be performing in an adjudication for judges, and they'll get to enjoy the day at Kennywood coming up at the end of May. And then I'd also like to point out in the program, there's different highlights that our high school band does. So as the kids go through the grades and they progress through, the opportunities just open up even more. You'll notice that even next week, our high school wind ensemble will be traveling to the University of Michigan, which is a really neat thing. Next year, which all these students will have an opportunity to be a part of, our marching band will get to march down Main Street in Disney World. So I'd just like to point that out because we threw some of those highlights in your program, and know that as the students are coming through the grades and now they're in 7th grade, they're getting to do more because they're able to handle that and represent North Hills really well. So we're looking forward to all of that. So we have 3 songs to play for you with our 7th grade band. The first one is a familiar melody. You might recognize it right away. It's called Sailor's Odyssey, and then we have 2 more after that. So we hope you enjoy.
Our next piece, Ultimate Battle, is inspired by college sports. The composer was sitting down to watch a college championship game. He was inspired by all of the energy that goes into that last moment. And I was also inspired by the wonderful anticipation that takes place before the game. This is Ultimate Battle. Our final selection this evening is inspired by our Pittsburgh Symphony. If you folks haven't had an opportunity to visit the Pittsburgh Symphony at Heinz Hall, they are amazing. We truly have a world-class orchestra here in Pittsburgh. They have these wonderful concerts where they play a movie in the background, might be Harry Potter, Star Wars, I think there's going to be a Marvel movie this summer, and then the orchestra performs all of the music. So we are going to try to have a movie in the background while we play the theme to Top Gun, a little danger zone for us tonight. And all of the remaining bands will be, we're going to attempt this, so we hope you enjoy.
So our next ensemble we have is the North Hills Middle School Percussion Ensemble making its debut. First year doing this with the kids, so we rehearsed once a week during their band classes, and we decided to do a piece that was really easy to just put together. We have different sized hand drums, tambourines, and claves, so really easy to put together in terms of instruments, a lot of logistical things to think about. So the piece is called Lattes on the House. It works a lot on hand drumming, and it's got a lot of cool rhythmic ideas that are passed around the group. So I hope you enjoy. Thank you very much. We'll just take a brief minute to get the beginning band on up to the stage. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is our beginning band. These students just began learning their instruments a few short months ago. They've come so far. We are really proud of them. We're going to play a few tunes you might be familiar with, Frere Jacques, and then there's one tune they required, I changed the name of it. The second piece will be called Baja Blast. That's what we like to call it. And then we have Ode to Joy, and then we're going to have some fun with the Hey Song at the end. We hope you enjoy. Not yet, Mr. Vanasevic, not yet. I think Mr. Vanasevic just really likes hockey. He was excited about that one. You ready, sir? Here we go. This is the Hey Song. Thank you so much for your patience, everyone. Our next selection is called Rippling Watercolors. The inspiration from this comes from the composer sitting down and watching some young children play with a set of watercolors. And he noticed how just the tiniest drop can change the entire picture. It can be a drop of water or a drop of paint. And so we kind of hear the same thing with the music. He'll drop notes in. And those notes will maybe create a little bit of tension in the piece. And he drops some more notes in, and that tension will relax. It's a beautiful lyrical piece. This is Rippling Watercolors.
have one more piece to perform with our 8th grade wind ensemble, and that is called JS Jig. So this music is a medley of music of J.S. Bach. You'll probably recognize some of those themes, and put in the style of an Irish jig. So it is a very fun piece to listen to, and we really enjoy learning it. So we hope you enjoy J.S. Jig. While we're bringing the 8th grade band up to the stage, we have our 50-50 to draw, so if you have your tickets, you can pull them out now. $291. All right, winning ticket is 048488. 048488. Any winner? 048488. $048,488, $291. Can you, oh, we have a winner, thank you. Eighth grade band, you can come up.
This is our final group of the evening, and before they play, just wanted to share a few thank yous. There's so much. Mr. Beaver and I are always so grateful for so many things. We have the most amazing colleagues. So, Mrs. Webster, could you just wave for us, please? So, Mrs. Webster is one of our elements. Thank you, yes. folks are along with Mr. Lucas, our elementary band directors. They do an incredible job. And many of us have forgotten that it wasn't just a few short years ago that we were in the midst of a pandemic. These students on the stage, for the most part, many of them began their instruments virtually over Zoom. And so that just speaks to the amazing teaching ability of Mr. Lucas and Mrs. Webster. We're so grateful for everything they do. You've seen Mr. Hickley tonight rocking out on the drum set. He's also in the back, always helping with our percussionist. He's incredible. Thank you, Mr. Hickley, for all you do. Mr. Vanasevic in the back, we are grateful for him running the slides tonight, and I will take the blame on any mistakes. I'm sure that was my issue with the slide, not Mr. Vanasevic being really excited about hockey. But Mr. Vanasevic, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us tonight. And last but not least, there's a very important member of our band program, Mr. Lavelle, who is also in the back. We are so grateful for everything that Mr. Lavelle does. Can we give a huge round of applause to the leader of our school, Mr. Lavelle? All of the administrators here at the North Hills School District are amazing. From our building principals to our superintendents and our school board, we're so grateful for the ways they support music education in our schools. Can we give it up for all of our administrators and school board? And last but not least, parents and families, we are so grateful for all of you. All of the rehearsals, all of the encouragement to practice. You may have noticed there are a few gentlemen that are here in maybe a jersey or shorts. There was a volleyball game today. There was a track meet that was canceled, but I know parents would have been rushing around getting students from those games here on time for the concerts. I believe there was also a softball game. Parents, we realize the incredible effort that it takes to get these students where they need to be. Thank you so, so much. And students, this is our turn to clap. Students, can we please all clap for the families here at the North Hills School District? So the group of students behind me, we were reminiscing a little bit about last year, and we were sort of noticing just how far we've come. There was a piece we were trying to play last year called Crazy Train. We did a really nice job on it, but it was a struggle for us. And they have come so, so, so far. This group is a powerhouse of a group. The next piece is Heartland March. Our final selection tonight is the theme from the movie Moana, We Know the Way. And so for parents, I hope you do have your cameras out tonight. This will be the last time this group is on the stage together. So many of these students are going to be, many of our students will be participating in band again next year, and many of our students will be moving on to new adventures. So I think the idea of a young person in a movie that was leaving for adventure, to find their way, is very fitting for these amazing students who will be trying to find their way. And so students, just like Moana knew her way back home, if you ever need help from Mr. Beaver or I, you guys know how to find us. We're just right there in the band room. We'll always be there if we can help you guys. So this is We Know the Way from Moana.